Ooh, what's up, Philadelphia sports fans? I am Anthony Pinto.
And I'm Kevin Christian.
Welcome to the War Room. We are War Room Philly, coming to you live via multiple platforms, and finally. And so we're on YouTube and Facebook, or not Facebook, not yet. YouTube and Twitch. I don't know why the easy one was. How's everyone doing out there? Kev, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Living the dream. Anytime I'm in front of the microphone, my day is better.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a hot one, as I've complained about seemingly every week.
Yeah.
Yet another hot one. It doesn't get any better. Speaking of hot one, hot off the press. We just got into it a little bit, and I'm like, wait, let's. I'm like, we don't have any nonsense. You know, where your boy had his trailer drop, and I was like, we do have nonsense. So the Spider-Man trailer dropped, and I gotta be honest. Here's my thoughts. I am 100% going to cry during that movie. I'm just gonna have. It's gonna be a nerd overload, and I'm just gonna be like, the Andrew Garfield, like, and I'm just. It's gonna be too much, and I'm more than likely going to be a 32-year-old in the movie theaters crying at a Spider-Man movie, and it's not even gonna be due to sadness, which I don't know. I don't think it makes it better. Like, I think it makes it worse somehow. Joe Hunter, shout out to Joe Hunter for the sub. Thank you. We appreciate that. Love it. And he gifted a sub to Philly Murph, which is his former catcher, Ryan Murphy, and a dear friend of the show. But yeah, I am excited for that movie. It looks great. But I feel a gripe from our comments prior, from on your end, and do we have to air a grievance out with Marvel fans, Kev?
Just a little bit, and it was funny too because I remember we talked a little bit about this before. In that, I was looking forward to the What If series, and I should have known better.
I haven't watched it yet, actually.
It's good. It's very good.
Okay,
and
cool.
I felt like it was going to be like a nice, relaxing. Like I don't have to. Now, I forget? Did you watch WandaVision?
Yes.
Okay, so all I heard for 8 weeks while that was going on was Mephisto, and and then people got upset with the finale because Mephisto's not in the show.
Mm.
And like, you did that to yourselves. You can't be upset with them. They never hinted at it, never said that he was going to show up. So for you to get upset about it is just annoying. But the same thing with this. You got people splicing this trailer down to the half second, looking for hidden thing. Like, just enjoy the trailer. Like, it ruins it for me almost to a point, because I like my trailer to be as short, sweet as possible. Give me a little hint, give me a little tease, and I'm good. Like, I miss the good old days. I feel old saying this, but I miss The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight had one teaser trailer for the entire run.
Yeah. And
it was a blank screen that had a smile appear, and you heard Ledger laugh. That was it. It's the only thing they gave us before that movie came out. And to this day, I'll tell you that it's still the best superhero movie that's ever come out. So
yeah, I'll say this: that's arguable, right. But that statement holds up. Right. Like, no one's gonna call you crazy for that. That's a good movie. Forget superhero. That's a good movie. Yeah, there's some serious plot twists in that film. You're like, wait, what the what? Like, even as fans that are sort of expecting it, you're like, that was flawless. That movie is that is
closest perfect that you could possibly
the Mount Rushmore of superhero movies. You got that. You'd have Endgame Part 2 probably up there. Probably
I think I'd go Infinity War first.
Civil War or Infinity War. Yeah, like one of them. They would be up there, but I digress. We said we wanted to start off with a little bit of nonsense. You brought up Spider-Man. I'm like, well, now we got 15 minutes at least. Chat, we will talk sports. There was a big move. I'm wearing orange and black for a reason. Let's go Flyers. We're going to talk about the Coots move. We're going to talk about should the Eagles play the starters in preseason. We're going to talk, do the Phillies have any, should they, in fact, why are they still on my TV in the background? Most prepared streamer on Twitch, by the way. Are the Phillies worth leaving on the background of a Twitch stream? No. Are they worth leaving on? Do you have us on in the background or the Phillies on in the background? How are you guys looking at it tonight? I'd love to know that. So we got a lot of everything going on tonight. But we will conclude this a little bit of back to the actual trailer. Right. Like you, I just like to enjoy things. Yeah. So I saw it. First off, I was blown away by how much we got. Kind of in the same vein, I almost felt like I was watching too much of the movie, which worries me. I don't like when we see too much. That being said, oh my god.
I love what I saw.
Oh my god. From Doc Ock to Willem Dafoe's voice, and you get the Green Goblin, the ball, from just the Black Spider-Man suit. It's gonna be from just the typical Peter Parker Spider-Man moment where Doctor Strange is keep quiet, and he can't shut up. Can you guys understand why I like Peter Parker? But he's like, what about this? Can't keep them thoughts out. But yeah. So I'm so excited for it, and I again, if you're a betting person, put money down that I cried nerd tears. Again, I hope it's not sadness, but I'm going to cry nerd tears for sure. I'm gonna see the reveal of Tobey Maguire. It's gonna be so good, and I'm so glad. Please don't show them. Please. Marvel, Sony, whoever's doing this movie, do not show them in a trailer. Do not ruin the most important part that you have going. I thought the villains was cool, down to even you didn't show Green Goblin, but he's gonna be there. Please don't show these two in a trailer. That's all I beg for you. Let this be it.
I'm saying I don't want another trailer. I want nothing more.
I'm like you. I'm in. This movie could have been called Spider-Man Poopy Face, and I would have been in 100%. Doesn't matter. I didn't need anything. I'm in. So as far as trailers goes, I want to be as blank of a. That's all I need. I felt like we got a lot of the movie. I get where they're going. No mas. Just give me the movie, let's go, and then have Carnage a month later drop. I was thinking about this too. I was like, wait a second. I saw what they're doing here, and they're pushing back because it would be a perfect business move for them to just piggyback off of the Spider-Man momentum and be like, people are going to want a Spider-Man movie a month after this film. Yeah. Boom, do that right afterwards. I'm right back at the theaters. Probably be the first 2 times that I go to the theaters, and only 2 times in a long time. And since Rise of Skywalker might have been the last movie I saw in theaters.
That was me for almost 10 months. I went without going to the theater.
Let me see something.
That's the end of 19, right?
Yes. That's what I'm trying to look at. I'm looking up the release date right now.
So that's after
December. I literally can look up the date. It was December. It was probably December 19th, the way that they drop nowadays. Because I went to the first. So December 19th, 2019 was probably the last time I was at a movie theater.
I'm going a bunch recently, but I went from Skywalker until Tenet came out in July.
What movie?
Tenet.
Okay.
If Christopher Nolan made it, I'm watching it.
Okay. Was it good?
One of my favorites of his, but you know him. He likes to do the mind mess with your mind.
Yeah.
This one was it was rough. There's a lot going on, and very easy to get lost. Made me more excited for the new Batman though, because Robert Pattinson killed it. He was awesome.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is cool. I'm ready now. I think I saw the movie and they announced him as Batman like the week before, and I was like, let's do it. I'm in.
007 and Top Gun gonna be Joe Hunter's my pops be the first in 2 years. Yeah, I actually call me out of the loop. I didn't know there was another 007 coming. Is it a new 007? Because didn't Daniel Craig say that's it for me?
I think he's got one more. But
is this the last one with him?
I'm not sure. I've never seen one. Period.
Yeah. No 007s ever?
Nah, it's one of those things.
Okay.
I go through this with friends of mine all the time, and it feels like I gotta watch them all, and then they all tell me I don't. Just start with Craig, and if you like it, keep going back. So I'm probably as close as I've ever been that I'm probably gonna sit down and watch Craig's versions.
Yeah, I'll say this. I've watched a smattering of them.
Yeah.
I don't even remember which ones I have and haven't seen at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You can totally just pick any one up and they're like a standalone comic. And that's the good part of them. But I'm not going to be the guy that like sits here and preaches you need to see 007 movies. If that's not your genre. Like for me, I like action movies, but I like them in like, especially nowadays, the comic genre. And that tends to be where I watch most of, where I get that popcorn fix. But I can't act like GoldenEye wasn't one of the best.
I'm more of a completionist is my own problem.
Yeah.
Like, if I start something, I'm gonna finish it.
It's like my boss asked me today because he saw the Spider-Man trailer and was super into it, and he's like, I'm gonna need to go back and watch a bunch. And I was like, no, you probably don't need to. And then I was like, ooh, which Marvel movies do you leave out? Because they're gonna Easter egg a bunch. And in chat, I promise you, this is a sports show. We're getting there. We're wrapping up. But you gotta figure they're gonna drop. Because I told him like this is kind of number one in a sense, or like if anything, maybe watch Far From Home. Because that'll be like, I'm sure that'll be tied into the Spider-Man aspect of what's going on. But as far as like the Marvel universe, it's being reset. And I was trying to explain this. I was like, really, you can watch a few of the Avengers movies, and like if you want, I should have said work your way back, because that's a good solution too.
Start. I mean, if you're only really interested in watching this movie, I would watch Civil War and go forward.
Yeah. See, that's what I should have said.
That's pretty much it. Just because once you get Spidey's intro, he beats Strange in and all that. So like, I think you're gonna see everything you need to see at that point.
Then I'm like, wait, but Doctor Strange is going to be in it, so you should watch Doctor Strange.
And that's gotta watch Doctor Strange.
That's just a really good movie anyway. That's a good. I think that movie is like The Dark, not anywhere near like as good, but just as far as a standalone film.
Oh yeah,
really good movie.
It's a
Matrix kind of. What was that movie? What was it? Ascension, the movie that did that a lot. It's got a lot of that feel, like a lot of that vibe to it, and like I digress.
Yeah. Actually, I like that callback in the trailer too, when he pops Peter in the chest.
Yeah.
Get that flashback to when the Ancient One did it to Strange in his movie. So
yeah, it was well done. You know what else was well done, other than this segue?
Oh, you had it. You didn't have to say it. We already knew.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I gotta pat myself on the back when I can find one that good. How about that Sean Couturier and the wonderful signing? And I'll get it out of the way first. I already threw flames on my own personal Facebook. Kev.
Saw it. It was great.
Not too shabby for a third line center, right?
I think this is one of those times where like I forget how long I've been around doing guest spots with you guys, because I was on the night they did that re-signing, and we argued for a while about re-signing Coots. So
how one of us has grown.
But
can I be stubborn? He's still in number 2. No, I'm just kidding. I got enough. Coots, Sean Couturier's game, and now to defend myself, The third line center thing, we're going back to the start of War Room Philly, which is perfect. Actually, shout out to the sports gods for giving us. There's one more reason to go all the way back to the start as we sit here and we're going to be celebrating really through September as we can get more of Keith and Greg hopefully involved. We're our 10-year celebration. But to go all the way back. And this is where he's a third line center thing started. And it was back in 2011. This is a year removed from the Stanley Cup team. Right. Many things changed after that Stanley Cup, quickly too. But my whole thing was, at that point, I believed that Sean Couturier, at that point, this is 10 years ago, I thought that on a winning team was a third line center. I still kind of believe that to that point, back then. Not now, back then. Now, 10 years removed, dare I say he's still getting better?
Oh, yeah. And that's the crazy thing with Coots is...
a player whose plateau has been slow and steady. And again, for someone that really wanted Bobby Ryan and then maybe got labeled a Couturier hater, but to be fair, someone who strongly... I don't even want to say questioned. I'll be hard on myself. Doubted Sean Couturier's offensive skill. He's not... It's not that he lights the world on fire with his offense, but given the fact that he's... I don't... Trigger warning. He's like Ben Simmons as far as you can put him on anyone, and he's going to guard them. Yeah. But he's not afraid to shoot. Not anymore, at least. Not anymore, at least. Maybe 10 years now down the road, we'll be talking more bright about Simmons, but it'll probably be for another team. At this point, hopefully. Although, I always say I'm not going to talk Simmons, and somehow he slides his way into the DMs.
It's hard not to. And the longer they don't do anything, it makes it harder.
For here, it was purely of an analogy to... that's the one thing we can give Simmons credit for, right? He can stick up anyone as far as the defense goes. I think even his biggest hater can probably agree with that.
I'm not sure about that anymore, because I swear I see people talking crazy.
Yeah, you're right. Right now, the hate is hard. And look,
I'm across the league for him right now. He's just insane to me, because I get the offensive thing. If you question he'll ever get there, you question, his decision-making processes with that, I get it. The dude had a phenomenal regular season. So, yes, he disappeared in the playoffs, and that's always concerning. But, why is there question marks about his defense? He was, even when playing poorly in the playoffs, he still shut things down on the defensive side. So, the craziness I see being spewed about him right now it's a bit much. I'm pissed with him. I'm not ready. I don't know where I am as far as whether or not I want him to go. I want them to do something. Either make a move that shows you're not moving them, or move them. This middle ground of waiting just makes me think. What I always was worried about is the deal coming back for him is going to be bad.
Yeah, and I don't want to make this a Ben Simmons show. Although now that we're here somehow, I'll say I have a multiverse right now, and it's like, which one? There's one part where it's like I'm so underwhelmed as a Sixers fan by this offseason that it's almost like I need Ben Simmons to not only be traded, but be traded for something that I'm at least like. It doesn't necessarily have to be Dame, although it should.
It does for me.
I've looked at up and down through Sacramento's lineup, and I love it. Like I could find three players from the Sacramento Kings that would make me ecstatic in a package that would include Buddy Hield, and you probably wouldn't give up Maxey, and you probably definitely wouldn't give up Thibault. Maxey, you might give up if you're also getting maybe like a De'Aaron Fox, but I'm fine with that. I think Maxey would still be finding minutes in the team. Even if you got De'Aaron Fox, he would probably be your number 2 as far as your point guard goes. So I get excited when I look at that move because that is like with Dame. As much as I'm all in on Dame, losing Maxey and or Thibault, I don't want to say scares me, but it hurts me.
See, and for me, the only reason I agree with that sentiment is the lackluster trade deadline from last year.
Mm-hmm.
If I believed that they had the ability, now I think a regular season of Dame, Toby, and Joel is probably another number 1 seed for the Sixers. But you gotta backfill. You have to be able to fill those bench spots. And now maybe that big 3, brings those, the Blake Griffin that you saw sign in Brooklyn for nothing and stuff like that. Like that's where the teams win at the trade deadline. You're either making a big move or you're the team that everybody wants to go play for. So everyone's going to run to LA, Brooklyn. Maybe that big 3 convinces people to run to Philly.
Yeah, I would imagine that having Dame and Joel would attract, if not everyone, a certain type of someone.
Right.
It would have to do better than
George Hill.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like what we did. Although, now that you mention it, let's load multiverse number 2. I'm starting to lose faith in Daryl Morey. Not that I'm hitting the panic button or I'm yelling and I'm freaking out and I'm throwing chairs. But when are we gonna see the genius that Daryl Morey has been, labeled as? Or,
right.
I think that he's been given the benefit of the doubt a little too much.
Honestly, he hasn't done enough for me to doubt him. Like, the Hill move to me, to me, the other option was Lowry, and I didn't want him, and the price was too high.
Mm-hmm. We saw no one wanted him.
Right, and so the price must have been crazy for no one to want him, because when you watch the playoffs, anybody could have used him. I didn't hate the Hill move. I didn't think it was enough, but again, from everything we had heard, Lowry was that option they were going for first, and they wanted something crazy. So I don't blame them for not making that move. And you can't make people sign with you when they get waived. It was fine. But I haven't seen that move that I could really pin on him because he hasn't really done much. The drafts have been fine. I don't even know if he's getting the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he's done anything that can really allow you to look at him. I mean, the Danny Green re-signing is what it is. You don't know. You don't know what Danny Green you're getting night to night. So to say what you're going to get for a whole season is impossible. So I think that's where I fall with it. It's not even that I'm giving Morey the benefit of the doubt. He's got to do something. At some point, you got to pull a trigger because this team's close. But unless the Ben Simmons we get every year in those summer videos starts playing every night, you ain't winning anything. Not with this crew. Not when you have a Toby who disappears and a Joel who can't stay healthy. You can't have all 3 of them have problems. You need someone you can rely on night in and night out. And I like these guys. I don't think any one of the 3 you can rely on every night. So then that's my concern.
Yeah, it was a so far it's been an underwhelming offseason, and we'll continue to roll on with the Sixers as it comes and as it goes. But yeah, as far as it's just, I don't want to say it's Dame or bust because there's other moves, but it just.
I am Dame or bust.
It feels almost like holding on to Simmons is going to be too far gone at this point, and even besides that, I don't think that this team is going to be good enough. Like I don't know that just running it back makes that much. Like this team wasn't good enough to beat the Hawks, and I don't buy the excuses.
I wouldn't. How do I say this? They physically weren't able to beat the Hawks. So technically, what you just said is true. This team is more than talented enough to beat that Hawks team. They should have. They outplayed them for long enough in the series.
Fine tune the bench, get someone better than Furkan Korkmaz. You know what I mean? Like, and I start to believe you, but right now we're literally bringing back the same team outside of you got the power forward and you got Andre Drummond.
And honestly, for me, you lost by a hair. And with what you just paid Danny Green, he better be worth more than a hair. So Danny Green in that lineup should be enough right away that you should have already won.
Yeah, that just doesn't get me excited enough.
Oh, none of it excites me. For me at this point, the way this roster is going to build out without some surprise move that we haven't heard any rumors of or any whispers or anything, the second best version of this Sixers team next year is the one they currently have. Now, I can get with you with being excited about different sorts of packages that come out of Sacramento, but at the end of the day, no matter what that package looks like, your team got worse. There is no combination of players on Sacramento who make the Sixers a better team than if they just keep Simmons and Maxey. Because I agree with you. For me, the only way you win that trade is if you get De'Aaron Fox, and Fox is going to cost you both of them. Which I don't hate. I think Fox is one of those guys who's right on that brink of being in that next tier of point guards in this league. I think Buddy Hield's fine, but shooters, unfortunately, are a dime or dozen in this league, and he's a good one, and it would help this team to have someone who can hit shots consistently. But that's what you're paying Toby for. He's supposed to be that guy. So having to go out and get another one who's a lesser version of Harris on most nights anyway is nothing.
I think it's safe to say that Toby isn't that guy. That's not good. I think he's a scorer, but he's not the. I think that Brett Brown tried to label him the shot guy, and the one thing that Doc did was allowed him to score in other ways other than the 3-pointer. But again, he came up short. He came up short in the playoffs, and that's another knock on him. And he showed it yet again. Missing wide open layups in the fourth quarter of game 5, 6, and 7.
That's my biggest concern with this whole team is, and we talked about this last week. I love Joel, and he absolutely is worth every penny. But I got a problem with all three of them. If your name's not Austin Rivers, I got a problem with you the way you played in the playoffs. Austin Rivers gets a pass from me, and that's it. Everybody else, the bench, everybody. I mean, Danny Green's hurt, so that's a different story. Doc definitely doesn't get a pass. But the big three all had their problems.
You mean Seth Curry?
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Multiple times, and I said Austin Rivers.
Yeah, I was confused, but weirdly
I'm Seth Curry.
Weirdly, you're still in the ballpark because isn't Seth Curry is he's like the son-in-law to Rivers, so he's you were in the
Austin's
ballpark.
Brother-in-law.
You were right. You were in the ballpark. Weirdly, like as far as getting the name, you were like still in like this weird meta that I was like, I know who you're talking about in two ways. For one, but yeah, I hate correcting.
As soon as you said, "Did you mean Seth Curry?" and I was like, "Oh no."
I hate correct. Like I know it's like one of the rules. You don't want to correct, but then you see it in the. I'd rather get it now than have you roasted in the YouTube comments. I agree. So
I agree.
Shut up, YouTube comments. No.
I'm also a huge Duke fan, so me mixing the two of them up really bothers me. They're both my boys, but damn, I can't believe I just did that.
You know what?
But yeah, Seth Curry is the only person who gets a pass. Austin Rivers always gets a pass from me though, but that's a different story.
You know what didn't bother me, and it's finally time to talk about it. The Sean Couturier move.
That's true.
And we brought it up we teased it, and here we are. Again, so far from the third line center debate. I'm really excited for it. This was something that we gave a little bit of our thoughts on, but this was something, now that we talked about the move, let's talk about what it means for the Philadelphia Flyers. And as far as, because this was something that I think you've mentioned a few times was hanging over this team's head as far as next offseason, I believe you were talking about it. So as far as that, what do you think this does for this team?
So I think my answer to that is kind of twofold. I think the first thing that to me is really impressive is there's literally no reason Coots had to sign this contract. He's been eligible to sign this contract for about 22 days, and he already signed it. To me, that speaks a ton to what him, G, and the rest of the vets in that locker room think of Chuck's offseason. They like the moves. They think this team can compete this year and going forward. So for me, for him to be willing to, I mean, this is the end of Sean's career. Is here. 7 years, it's a full no trade, and the 8th year, he's got like a partial where he gives a list or something. Couturier is a flyer for life, and he's banking on what this team can do. The only complaints I've heard is the years. I don't care about the years. Couturier's game is not based in speed, which means you don't have to worry about him losing a step. He can still defend the best of them. And he's still an offensive goldmine with the way he can play make. But as far as the team's concerned, this is a $3.5 million raise for him. Well, 3.4. There's a good chance G's looking at taking about that in a demotion next year. Currently makes 8.75. Maybe he looks at taking like a 6.2 for a couple years. That difference is $900K. That's easy to make up. There was a real possibility that on the open market, Couturier is getting 10.5 million. And the Flyers got him at 7.75. This is his second hometown discount. My guess is whenever G hangs him up, that's your next captain as well. And that's just captain stuff. Like it's putting the team first. If I could possibly have loved Coots more, he got it today. Just helps this team immensely. You know, you got Carter on a good deal. You got Coots on a good deal. You got to sign Giroux and you got to sign Farabee, but Coots just made that possible for you. Got a lot of money coming off the books at the end of this year. Because as we talked about before, a lot of the moves that they made this offseason are one-year deals. Ristolainen kind of has a year to prove it, see what he's worth. And if he's not, then that's where your money comes from. You got JVR, who's got 2 years left. JVR on a one-year contract becomes the most valuable asset this team has. So if you got to open up cap space next year, maybe you're moving JVR, but I think that depends on the year you're kind of looking at for this team. So as far as next season's concerned, Cooch just gave him a gold mine. I mean, he really did. He could have really hurt this team as far as how much he'd earned. And it's not him being greedy or anything like that. Obviously, he did the opposite, but he was worth 10 mil, 10 and a half. And the Flyers had no choice. They had to figure out a way to bring him back. We talked about that the last couple of weeks. Moving on from Sean Couturier, that's just a white flag. That's telling you you're rebuilding from scratch. Mm-hmm. So to be able to get him at a team-friendly number in what is going to be a huge offseason with a flat cap still coming, I mean, this meant everything for this team and their future.
If you move away from Couturier, you're going to move away from Giroux in the same vein. And clearly, I don't think they plan on doing either.
No, and he made that clear today.
Someone told me Coots isn't worth the contract they gave him. Were you talking to me like 10 years ago? What up, Joe? What up, Joe? Came in right at the time.
Joe, you had perfect timing, man. Someone told you Coots isn't worth the contract they gave him.
So, here's what I'll play like devil's advocate to what they're probably saying. At the back end of the contract, he probably won't be worth it, but that's the discount that you get at the front end of the contract. And in hockey, this is just how it works. So
my guess is he's still going to be worth that money all the way through. One, because if the cap ever starts growing again,
Giggity.
that number is going to be nothing. You're going to have guys making 12 and 13 again. So at that point, 7 doesn't make a difference. That's probably what you're paying second and third line players anyway. People love to make this comparison, and over the next couple of years, the amount of Selke games may add to that. He plays just like Bergeron, and he has for a while. Bergeron, I want to say, is 37 this year, and he's still worth every penny of his contract. Now, I think he makes 6.5, but again, it's the same concept. As the prices go up, it's going to look like that. To me, you locked him in at a number that's just he blows it out of the water now. At worst, year 6, 7, and 8, it becomes a debate. It doesn't matter. I mean, for Fletcher, it doesn't matter. Fletcher won't be here 8 years from now. I don't care how successful he is. Hockey GMs don't have that long a lifespan, so he'll
8 straight cups.
8 straight cups. He may still not be here.
He might be. He'll get bought by someone else.
He might retire at that point. It's just that's for Chuck Fletcher. It's a no-brainer because the money he's making for the foreseeable future, in the way the cap is set up, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
He avoided a huge problem. So I hats off to Chuck, like I said, who in the past we talked about it. I think he's had an up and down year, or up and down off season. But I like I like what it's ended up looking like. It should make for an interesting year, and God, am I excited to have Coots.
I see one thing in chat that I want to address before I get back to what you were just saying, and it's something that we actually were talking about not too long ago, Joe, which is he said if they don't re-sign Giroux, I'm done. D-U-N. No, that's not how he spelled it. I think that this move shows you that they plan on signing Giroux. I think that if you weren't going to bring back Giroux, you also weren't going to bring back Coots. And that's not what this team has ever been about. It wouldn't, and in this case, it's not just to uphold tradition. It's the smart business move.
Yeah, the dude can still play. Yeah, I mean,
and I expected Giroux. How old is Giroux right now?
Oh man,
let me look it up real quick.
I'm gonna let you do that.
I don't want to misspeak.
I'm not gonna Austin Rivers this.
I'm not gonna.
Joe, what I will say is, I don't know if you saw Chalk's comments from this afternoon from their press conference.
He's 33, so I would say. Go ahead, I'll let you finish your point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so he was asked about Giroux. Giroux's not going to sign a contract until the end of the season, which, if you take a quick look at that, it gets a little scary. It's kind of a. I think my heart kind of jumped out of my chest a little bit when I looked at it, just because that means that time frame to re-sign is a little shorter than I would like. The way he talked about it and the way he talked about the negotiations sounds to me like G's back no matter what, but that G's willing to work with the team to make his number fit under the cap. It doesn't sound like G wants to go anywhere. It doesn't sound like Fletcher wants him to. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. I'll get more worried about it if they start dropping hefty contracts on other guys. Specifically, like a 6'9" defenseman they just traded way too much for. Just off the top of my head. He gets a hefty contract. I'll get a little bit more worried about Giroux coming back.
And Giroux is 33, for the record. So I would say I could very easily see a 3-year deal.
I think it's going to be 3 years, 6.25.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say 3. Hopefully no more years than 3, especially at that number. But I think that, that puts him at, 36, maybe 37, depending on when his birthday. What is his birthday? January. So he'll be
37 at the end of it.
Yeah, he'll be 34 during this season, which will make him 37 at the end of his contract unless he retires prior.
He won't.
Which is, he doesn't. He's not at his peak anymore, right?
No, he's past that.
But man, he hasn't. He doesn't show signs of wear. Does that make sense?
What I will say is he did when they had him consistently playing center. When he was still playing, like when people build lineups for this year, I don't want to see G in the center. I want him on the wing.
What about throwing a power play?
I want him exactly where he's been for the majority of his career.
Okay.
I want him to take a face off and then go stand off to the left boards.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong. I want G to take every face off when he's on the ice.
Okay.
But when the positioning comes for the rest of the play, I want him on the wing. Not having that defensive responsibility, and he is a great defender. He's one of the best in the league at that as well. I want him focused on power play, and I want him focused on even strength scoring. I don't want to see him on the penalty kill. I don't want to see him anywhere. It just, you got to remember what you have at this point. You know, you have a superstar in the twilight of his career. You're talking about a guy who's in his mid-30s at this point. He can still shoot the puck. He can still make plays with the best of them. I'm very excited to see him. No matter what his line mates are this year, it's going to end with a goal scorer. So it's I think it's going to be pretty good. I'm not. He again, same way I talked about Coots. G has never been a guy who relies on his speed just blowing past you. He just thinks the game better than you. He's got a wicked shot.
He's got he's got hands. He's got a little bit of everything. Which is like why I've always loved the player like Claude. I love the guys that are kind of the jack of all trades out there on any whatever they're whether it's the court, the ice, the field. I love those. I love those versatile players, which is why like a guy like Kenneth Gainwell, I'm kind of excited for.
Yeah.
Shout out to that's a guy that we'll see a lot of tomorrow. And
with a jersey number that'll make me keep thinking that I'm looking at the wrong guy.
Well, we could. And he's got that. Is he a wide receiver? Is he? And that's how he plays too.
It does. I love the kid. I think he's great.
It's really gonna flex the boomer, and it's hard. We'll really see if we can catch on or not, and if we're already old or if we still got it. Because if we can adjust, then we're already better than Brady.
And that's all that matters to me.
But yeah, I saw something from Joe that I think is worth addressing. He says Drew is that guy that people will appreciate when he's gone, and that's a damn shame. I feel like that is so. There's like this pocket of Philadelphia that we're the ones that when people say Philadelphia fans are smart, there's us, and then there's a lot of other people, and they're the ones that label us. They're the ones that they're the boo Santas.
Yep.
They're the this player couldn't play there because it's too tough, and I think that those people, those are the same ones that didn't appreciate Mike Schmidt when he played. I wasn't around, but those are the same people that bashed Ryan Howard the entire time that he was here, and it's like, unfortunately, in a city this big, you're gonna get a lot of casuals, and here it is. Oh no, we actually haven't brought up the Brassard signing, and it's
we didn't talk about it yet.
So yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, it's as far as Drew. Look, say he's here for another 4 years, including this season. If you have one of those seasons that works out the right way, all of that is gone. All of that is extinguished with Drew, and he's already appreciated.
I agree.
But I don't think that that's out of the question with this team. I'm not banging the door saying here comes the Stanley Cup. This team has had a pretty impressive offseason. Now, if we here collectively in War Room Philly, because it seems like none of us, including Greg, if I'm not mistaken, even through the group chats, wasn't super thrilled about the Risto move. If you can get past that, it's been, dare I say, an impressive. I'll go that far. if outside of the Risto move, it's been impressive. You lump that in, it's been pretty good. It's been interesting.
I see it for me. I've got the Ellis move on the so far good side of the spectrum that
I love the Atkinson move. Like, for me personally,
I like a lot of it.
I think that shakes up your offense. Like, no disrespect to Voracek now that he's gone. I don't want to just kick him while he's down. I know it's a guy that for years I said I want to trade him, but again, it's not. I like the player. Yeah. I just felt like the team needed a shake up offensively, and they finally got that, and I'm excited for it. It's like this is like genuine Flyers excitement from me, man, and that's like. This is August, and we're talking about it. It's August 26th, and I'm like, I would rather talk that than the Phillies. I like the Eagles. Here's the thing about the Eagles. Why are you talking Eagles tonight? Because no one's gonna freaking play tomorrow. And why are we gonna fabricate fake sports talk when we all know none of the players are gonna play tomorrow? And guess what? If they do play, I'll throw a Facebook Live up after the game, and I'll talk about it with egg on my face. Because it's not gonna happen.
No.
So, but yeah, real quick, getting back to this, this off season, let's talk about the little bow that we've got most recently in the Derek Brassard signing.
So for me, what I like about Brassard thing is the same reason I like the Keith Handel trade or signing, I should say. Both cheap, both 1-year deals. For me. I've always been a guy I want to see the rooks get a chance to earn their spots. But the problem with that mindset has always been, well, then you don't bring in guys to get in their way. It's why I didn't love the Nate Thompson move. That's a guy who, if he beats out a rook, you're losing. Like, that hurts the team for him to beat out a Morgan Frost. With Brassard and Yandel, Frost and York got to show it, or they go spend some time with the Phantoms. And that's really what it comes down to. And I like having legitimate players who can force that. So I like Brassard. Always been a guy who killed the Flyers, constantly. But
now, real quick, this isn't gonna be oh crap! What the hell was his name? The Marlin.
Oh God.
The outfielder. He played left field.
Oh yeah.
For the Marlins, and he was the Philly killer. And then he got to the Phillies, and he still killed the Phillies.
It could be, to be fair.
Because now he's gonna suck.
I mean, he is older, but see, my thing with it is, I like everything. Even the Risto move, I like the.
Someone out in Chatland is gonna have that answer for me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, that's gonna drive me nuts. That's. I gotta tell you, the first name that came to my mind wasn't a left fielder though, so I'm already out.
Might have been a right fielder.
I had a second baseman, so that wasn't it.
Who was it? Now
I had Ogla, but I don't think he came here.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I remember him bouncing back and forth.
He was Braves and
Braves and Marlins. But it's I like what Chuck did for the whole. I think that we've talked about this. I think Risto's a risky move, but I think they have the people behind him, with Yandel, with York, with Braun, and even Big Sam, that if he's not playing well, he should be sat. And they're not on the hook for him past this year, so it's not he got to play him because of the contract type thing. For me, AV's got to put up or shut up at this year. Chuck gave him a ton of weapons. Young, old, guys who were new, guys who were, who've been on the team for a while. It's time to put up or shut up. Find something that works and stick to it. I'm sick and tired of watching lines getting changed every game, which doesn't allow guys to create chemistry, which means that you guys struggle more than they should on the offensive side of things. Defensive pairings can't get changed every 2 minutes, not when you got so many young guys back there. So for me, I think this is a big year for AV to kind of prove it. So that's where my concern comes in with a move like Brassard. It's someone that AV's comfortable with. I don't know how many good years Derek Brassard has left. And by that I mean I'm not sure Derek Brassard has a good year left. I hope he does. But other than that, I don't...
I remembered who it was.
Please tell me.
Jeff Conine.
Yes.
Chat, he still got it.
That's awesome. Dude, I would have woken me up in a nightmare tonight.
I don't know. I literally just started typing letters. I typed Marlins J-E and then Jeff Conine. I was like, that's what it is. I literally just started typing letters. Yeah, sometimes it pays to be good at Google, chat. That's all I'm gonna say.
There you go.
It's a skill, and you know, that's what a good producer does. Jeff Conine makes an appearance to the show. I digress.
I was not on my list of people to be discussed.
Kev, I don't even know the last words that you were saying prior.
So so basically, for me, my biggest thing with this team is I like the depth that Fletcher has given AV. And for me, my biggest concern is the overplaying of guys who shouldn't be playing. If Broussard's not playing well, sit him. If Thompson's not playing well, sit him. If Yandel doesn't look like he has it anymore, sit him. You've got the guys behind them to make those moves. And if York beats him out, Yandel out to begin the year in that spot, if he's not playing well, sit him. Don't. It's with AV, it's typically a veteran. He just falls in love with playing over and over again. And he did it with Broussard when he was in New York, but Broussard was still 27. So he still had a lot of game left. He did it with Thompson 2 years ago in the playoffs. Nate Thompson played more than Jake Voracek in the playoffs 2 years ago. That can't happen. And so that's what concerns me. But on paper, for me, I'm a big NHL guy on PlayStation. Yo, I can't wait for the new one to come out.
I need that. Make one for the PC.
I know. Listen,
why? Why?
Listen, the whole community is yelling about 3 things, and that's one of them. Every year, it's the same thing.
I would say the Nintendo Switch, but I've made that mistake once. I'll never buy a major sports game for the Nintendo Switch again because I had NBA, I want to say 2K19, and the updates took 3 months long. I would literally have to be like, you know what? I might play tomorrow, so I'm going to load up my Switch and start updating it. Just way too long. I guess the Switch just doesn't have the computing power to download the big updates or whatever. But yeah, I will be getting that. I already have it wish listed. I'm gonna get NBA. I'm gonna do NBA this year over Madden. I
heard Madden's rough.
Yeah, it always gets really negative reviews. See, here's the thing: I buy Madden to do one thing and one thing only: to run franchise mode and to play it probably about 3 to 5 different franchises until I ultimately get super bored with the game after 300 to 500 hours. And then I'm like, okay, I'm good. And then I move on. But I'll do some with the Eagles and then maybe one with the Seahawks because I want to play with Russell Wilson. And then I'll do a fantasy draft or 2. And then I'm like, okay, I'm bored. I'm tired of playing with all of the same players no matter how many different ways I play it. I still trade for the same guys. I still end up with the same oh, this guy's really fast. I'm going to exploit that. Yeah. Kind of thing.
You find the same free agents the first season every time. You're like, I know he's a free agent.
Yeah, Ross is there, or whatever. But yeah, so. But
I will say that what I like doing in Madden, I have 2 things I like doing. One, I like taking a team that should absolutely be moved out of whatever crap stadium they're playing in.
I finished my
and I like making a team
about it. Oh, yeah, you move them?
I love moving them. I do the same thing in NHL.
I've never done that actually. Can you build your own little stadium for them and stuff?
Yeah. So what?
To get intricate.
What Madden does now is it's not bad. It's not. You got to build the logo and the uniforms, but they give you standard ones if you want to just make it quick. But Madden makes it. No, actually, that's NHL. Madden's is even easier. Madden cities offer you to come to their city instead of wherever you are, and then they give you 3 options on team names. So you pick one, and then they build you the uniforms for you. So everything's done. It's pretty straight. Madden's is pretty straightforward.
Right. You know what? I still got Madden 20. Maybe I run the season and I do that.
I think I always like doing it with bad teams with either aging quarterbacks or whatever. I know I did it with Washington a couple years ago because they don't deserve a football team anymore. When you call the team the football team, you don't deserve one. So I did that. Maybe that was last year. And I just moved them out of there. I forget where I went. Maybe Canada. Maybe Toronto.
I'd
But
have to
like
get, I'd have to get out of the NFC East. Couldn't beat up on the Eagles.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that was always cool, and I also like grabbing an ancient quarterback or a team with no quarterback because I like drafting and developing one. So like I don't want to.
Kev's a player developmental guy when it comes.
Listen,
to
I could play Madden for 7 months and never actually play the game. I could just run the franchise mode as the GM and I'd be good. I do that with NHL all the time. I could go the whole season without playing, and I'm like, all right, I'm in. Let me go into the draft. I love this. So.
And it says from Joe in chat is the most excited he's been since 2010-11 for a Flyers season. That's pretty awesome. I'm not up to there quite yet because that was still Cup expectations. And right now I'm at. I want to see a playoff run, and then I want the Cup expectations, you know? And no, look, not that. Look, things change, right? When Pandemica hit, and the Flyers came back from it, I genuinely believed that the stars were aligned and that the hottest team in hockey were going to win the Cup. I genuinely believe. I still am flabbergasted at the way that season ended 2 years ago. Last year was just a nightmare for so many reasons.
Yep.
The easy one being your defense just never got set up. Your not so easy one was your offense was floundering and needed a spark. And you know, I think that they 100% addressed both of those issues in the offseason.
Yeah.
The dare I say, elephant in the room is Carter Hart. I think that most of Flyers Nation, if you will, feels pretty confident he'll bounce back. I sure as hell do. I think that was kind of a blip to bring back the Spider-Man from the beginning of the show. I think that was a blip. And we'll kind of get past that season, chalk it up to a sophomore slump, chalk it up to a horrible defense, and just a bad product in front of them. Not going to just throw the goalie under the bus. I'm also not, letting him off scot-free. He's got to come back better. All of our expectations sort of ride on him not being, a brick wall, but he's got to be good. And improving from his rookie season, or year one, I should say, improving off of the good Carter Hart that we've seen before. We need his game to, maybe not, but he needs to get better and from here on out. And if Carter Hart just gets better and better every year, this team's eventually I think going to achieve things. Sooner rather than later would be nice, but later rather than sooner is still acceptable. Just happen sometime, while I'm alive, hopefully.
I just need you to lift a cup in Flyers. I don't. That's all I want.
I want that so bad. And flip side, not to go back into basketball, I want Joel Embiid so bad, to do the same. But just to kind of wrap up the Flyers talk, and then we can kind of quickly run through everything else if there's any other Eagles or Phillies talk that we want to get into, and we can head into the final thoughts. I'm excited right now. Like the Flyers, as like fandom level, the Flyers are what I'm hanging on. Because the Sixers, until a move happens, I feel just kind of meh about them, at least right now, in the offseason, because, again, we're pretty much just running it back, and that doesn't excite me. Maybe come a few months into the basketball season, I feel different. Maybe a few months into the basketball season, they make a move, and that's why I feel different. But even just bringing back a much improved Ben Simmons, I don't know that this team did what they needed to do to get where we want. or to even just move the at least move the expectations needle, right? Like the Flyers were not going, oh, cut, but they moved the expectation level.
Right.
The Eagles are in a bit of a rebuilding, so they're kind of, I don't want to say let off scot-free, but it's a new slate. And the Phillies just suck and are a disappointment. Look, I said it the other day at work to someone. I was like, if the Phillies want us as fans to take them seriously, they need to go out and they need to just be the Yankees for an offseason and sign like 3 of the best possible players and then still 3 more people. Because this team is just, look at them on paper, healthy or not, look at them on paper. Your first baseman is Rhys Hoskins, okay? And I'm not going to throw the dude under the bus. He's not the best player. He's not the worst. He's not your problem, but I would like something different. Your second baseman, Gene Segura, just fine. He's banged up a lot. Your shortstop is ancient. He's non-existent. And you signed him for 2 years. That was a bad deal. Alec Boehm as your third baseman doesn't look like the third baseman of the future. Doesn't look like he's got any interest in playing in the field. Huge question mark at best. You have no outfield unless his name is Bryce Harper. Just to wrap that up quick. But outside of that, hey, at least you got, it's like you have really 3 position players if you count Rhys. And again, Rhys has had a good year. But he's been hurt often, and that's been a knock throughout his career.
Yeah.
I kind of just, I wouldn't mind having a different first baseman. I'm not trying to pour on Rhys Hoskins, although it doesn't feel like he gets enough hate. Although, it's like he either gets...
I think it's the opposite.
I feel like Rhys either gets totally hated on or totally loved on, and there's no in between. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not you know what it is? It's just, it feels like he doesn't get the venom that Ryan Howard got.
That's totally true, and
I guess I'm just confused by it. But I digress.
I don't think you should be. It's pretty obvious why.
It was because Howard made a lot of money, and I guess Rhys is yet to do it. As far as making the money thing,
I think people are bothered by his contract. Ryan was also a home run or boss type of guy. Wasn't hitting a lot of. Well, I mean, he hit a lot of doubles, but that was his game, and it was exciting. But when he was struggling, it was a lot of strikeouts. And the same thing we see with Bryce, where people want to beat up on Bryce, and I'm like, are you watching the same game? Because at the end of his career, Ryan Howard hit a lot of solo home runs too, and that's what happens when you have either nobodies or the aging 40-year-old husks of J. Roll and Utley hitting in front of him. So, it was... I like Hoskins. For me, he had 2 big problems entering this season. The injuries, which definitely haven't been solved, as we've just seen him get hung up for the rest of the year. The second one being consistency. And I think he's been consistent this year. For the first time maybe in his career. For long stretches of his career, it would be, you go to 25 games where he looks like the best hitter in baseball, and then he doesn't have a hit for 30 games. So, it's...
Yeah, it's kind of weird. They put him down in the lineup, and he seemed to thrive in the role that he should have been in.
Weird how he shouldn't be a 2-hitter. That's crazy.
Isn't it weird? And it's funny, because people label me as a Rhys Hoskins. I'm like, dude, I do not hate Rhys Hoskins. I hate him batting second. That's not his fault. That's our idiot managers for the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. Or maybe even 4.
I'm saying whenever he came up,
Rhys is not a 2-hole hitter, man. And people were like, "Wow!" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, Corey Dickerson is a lot different of a hitter than friggin' Rhys Hoskins, you idiot. Yeah. Justin Turner is a big different than I'm like, look at all the other teams. They're better hitters than Rhys. Right. They're different hitters, not even better, but they're Rhys Hoskins is a guy that looks to drive and get RBIs through the home run." Put him 3, 4, 5, 6 if he's struggling. Not 1 or 2. That's all. That was the only thing. It was never a Rhys thing. But yeah, here's what I'll say to wrap up Rhys Hoskins talk. I don't know if this injury opens up a possible 1-year deal for him. But if you can do it, I do it. If you can
I
do
agree.
it, if you can do a 2-year deal, I don't care what the number is. Blank check. If you can do 2 years, I'm willing to commit to Reese.
I agree.
I don't think that's what happens though. I think that there's going to be a team that is willing to give Reese big time money. Remember Joe Boris? Isn't that the dude's name? He's the
Scott.
Scott Boris. Thank you. He's
Sorry,
the
I have the game on.
Philly's bad.
It's out of my peripheral, and maybe maybe Joe can fill us in on this. I think they just try to do a pick-off play at first base. And what I will say is, not only was he safe, he's on third base.
Okay. Little league baseball coming into play.
Yeah, it was almost a little league home run. but luckily Brad was running a little bit faster than he normally does.
So, oh crap! Now I forgot what I was talking about.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
You're talking about how great Hoskins is at first base. No, you're thinking Scott Boras is going to get him a big contract.
Yeah. So, thank you. Perfect.
I got there eventually.
I
didn't run on that train myself.
I think that's more the route. I think that there's going to be not only a team, but multiple teams willing to give Reese a pretty hefty contract, and that's where I just would kind of like to look elsewhere. But I also think that the team that gives him a hefty contract is going to be the Phillies. And
I would put. I think he's here no matter what.
That's kind of how I feel. Yeah, I think he's here, and I think he gets 5 to 10 years with a ton of money.
Jeez.
He's gonna get a ton of money. Man.
I think he gets 4 or 5. I'm with you, and I think he does.
Dude, he might get Ryan Howard money, and that's cheap in today's day. But
still, I mean, it's still. See, my thing is when you watch this team just be in the dugout or celebrate things, like this team right now is just Reese, JT, and Bryce. Like, they only talk to each other. I mean, like, they pat everybody else on the head or whatever, but like, it's very clear that they know they're the only good players on this team. And with the way Bryce went to bat for JT, I expect the same for Reese.
Yeah,
so I agree.
Reese went to bat for Bryce to get him here. The two are very tight. Yeah, like I said, I think he's going to be here. I think the contract is going to be hefty. I don't think I'll be happy about it. I think that then is probably when you may even start to see what I was just talking about, which is like the venom towards Reese.
I mean, he starts making big money. I think he definitely sees,
especially in the field. It'll be interesting to see. Clearly, we're talking off season because the Phillies suck and we have no hope for them. So not much else though as far as this team goes. Hammer Kid makes Joe Hunter. I got to show you a picture of my one friend that I went to school with because he looks exactly like JD Hammer, and that's why he makes me laugh because I see my friend who is a goofball, and then JD Hammer is out there, but yeah.
I can't believe this dude added those locks to what was already a ridiculous look. So,
did he change his style already?
No, I mean he's had it all year, but I think when he first came up, he had normal hair with the big ass glasses. Yeah. I mean, the lettuce in the back of the hair now is just it's getting to the point where it's right above his name, and that's it's when you're getting in Syndergaard levels, and you don't throw like that. You shouldn't.
Well, that's with that Jankowski. I'm like, why do you look like you're the Edge from WWE? And I'm like, the dude looks like a typical minor leaguer, and he plays like it too. They
tried to do a pickoff play at first. Again, I was watching I saw out of my peripheral. I don't know whose fault it was, but Hammer fired it, and Miller didn't even come close. Well, the guy just kept running.
Well, we know Freddie Galvis doesn't ever create errors, at least, right, chat? Oh wait, he did it in his first play. Oh, okay. Good pickup. Good pickup.
Listen, I was happy to have him back. I still am.
Good pickup. No.
He's fine, and you know what? He loves the city, so I'm always down for guys like that.
Yeah, me too. Chat, it's been a fun one.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts tonight? We got anything else that we missed? Anything else you want to talk about? Any rookies or anything you're looking for tomorrow in the Eagles game? We kind of didn't really talk much about them, but it's weird, right? We're still adjusting to this 3 games and like, man, it really feels like we didn't see much of what we wanted to see out of our players. We were looking to see some reps out of Jalen Hurts this preseason, and it looks like we're not gonna see that. So yeah,
I would like to feel better about the backup quarterback situation.
yeah.
I would like that a lot. That would make me. And I don't care which one of it is. To me, it has to be Flacco, but whatever. If one of them looks like they know how to play football again, I'm cool with either one of them being the quarterback.
Here's what I'll say: if Flacco's here because of his brain and he's feeding Jalen Hurts crucial knowledge and stuff like that, I really don't care how he plays. Because I agree, man, the backup play has been concerning. My only, how do you say, the goal, look, I mean, the goal is to win this year, but let's be real, we're probably not going to do a ton of it.
Whose goal?
Right, like that's what I'm saying, like the goal, I guess really the goal is to improve and realistically the goal is just to improve, right?
Right.
And for next year the goal to be to win. But it's not like we're saying trust the process and we're trying to tank. Like we want to see.
Right.
No one's going to complain if the Eagles go out and win a Super Bowl this year, right? It's just
so.
Realistically you tamper expectations because most times, especially when it's a rookie head coach, they don't come in and win a Super Bowl. Right. They come in and they have, team struggles, head coach struggles, and we probably are expecting to see a little bit of both this year. So with that,
I gotta tell you, if they're 8-9 or 7-10, I am gonna be a little mad. That mediocre, like draft 15.
Well, here's the go back and if you look at maybe not Andy Reid's first year, I think that was like a
4-12.
Yeah, but if you look at Doug Peterson, it was right around that 500 mark. And guess what? At the end of that season, you felt really good moving forward.
Yes, but I would. I guess my thing with it is I think you still got to go get a quarterback. I don't think he's it.
Well, that's to be. I tend to like. It's weird because I'm a Jalen Hurts fan, but I tend to agree with you.
Well, and that's my thing too. I like the guy a lot. I hope like hell I'm wrong.
I'm in a weird spot, and I feel like I'm playing both sides of the fence, which I really tend not to do. But if you're 7-10 and then you got to look at then you go to the optics. But right now, preseason talk, if you're 7-10, that leads me to believe that Jalen Hurts was healthy because we know we're not getting any wins out of the backups.
No,
quarterback wise, it leads me to believe that not only are they healthy, Joe. Yes, that was our nonsense that we were buying time to wait for you to get in here.
We'll wrap with.
But I think that it leads to Jalen Hurts being healthy. It leads to he probably won you some games. Like it would make me feel the same way I started to feel about Carson Wentz post year one, which is again this is preseason talk and we're just hypotheticals. Optics, we would have to check it.
Yeah.
If it was that this team, to go to your point, if it was this team gritted out wins and it was a defense that won them a lot, then you're right. Then 7-10 might hurt depending on what your other draft picks value is. But I see anywhere above 5 wins as like you're really starting to look good about the future.
That's fair. And like I said, if it's Hurts doing the heavy lifting, I'm all right with that. I'm having a hard time envisioning a world where they commit to him. Because the hemming and hawing and really looking at a guy in Watson who I don't think is ever going to play again this hard just so you don't have to use Hurts is that tells me they don't see it either. So I'm not sure that this season doesn't end with them trying to move back up for a quarterback, no matter where they are, whether it's 15 or 6. You know, again, I fall in the same spot that you do, which is I like everything that comes out of Hurts' mouth. I like his swagger. I like the confidence he has in himself and his game. I just don't think he's got all the tools to be that guy. Everything about the Eagles, the way they've discussed it, the way that rumors have popped up, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that no matter what he does this year, outside of a deep playoff run or at least a playoff run, he's the guy next year. I think they look to get out of it. I think they look to go get something else. So we'll see. I don't think it becomes an issue. I don't think they get 7 wins. But you never know in this division. But I think the NFC East is better than it was last year. I think you have a firm front runner in Dallas.
Yeah.
And that Washington defense is tough with Fitzpatrick. Maybe you get a few gimmies against the Giants, but I think Giants fans are sitting there going, I think you get a few gimmies against the Eagles. So
I think your only 3 wins come against New York teams this year. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. No, that's what I say. My manager is an inbred. He's a Phillies and Giants fan.
What?
Yeah, he's a Giants fan in that Cowboys fans are Cowboys fans. Like he's just a Giants fan because he doesn't like the Eagles.
Okay.
So and wants people to know about it. Like, he's a hater. So I jokingly always say that the only 3 wins are going to come against New York teams this year.
Do they play the Jets?
Yeah, they play that was the added game that we got.
That makes me feel better, actually. Yeah, to me, that sounds like you have two winnable games.
Yeah,
the Giants at home and the Jets.
Yeah, I think we could beat the Giants both times. But yeah, as far as the Eagles go this year, for me, wins and losses isn't everything. It's what is your wide receiving core going to look like? More importantly, what does your quarterback look like? What does your head coach look like? Are they, how do they handle the moment? A positive would be coming out knowing that my defense is good, because I do think that they have the potential to crack the top 15, close to the top 10, maybe even. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. There's going to be a lot of, I don't even know if there's going to be ups and downs. It might just be downs at times. Like the start of the Eagles season is RUF rough.
Yeah.
And just realistically they could go 0-6.
Easily.
Like you know what I mean? So how does a year 1 starter quarterback and a rookie head coach handle that?
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, as far as these teams go, I'm just hoping, like, if we can hopefully feel good about Jalen Hurts, I think that's the ultimate win as far as the Eagles fans can go.
I'd like to feel good about the wide receiving core.
But yeah, that's like that's the, I think they almost go, like, I don't want to say they go hand in hand, because you can feel good about your receivers despite quarterback troubles, or vice versa. But man, I really like the aspect of Jalen Reagor being a number 2, or even a slot guy, if that's what he's got to be. He could be a 2/slot.
I got yelled at today because I stole Rager from somebody in the draft.
Yeah.
I was feeling him.
You love to see it. You love to see it. Yeah, I think that this wide receiving core, especially if you look, I'm not going to start buying stock on Quez Watkins because of 1 preseason play. But that speed was something that I was impressed with draft day. I always fall in love with the speedy wide receiver. See my Devonta Smith love. But this wide receiving core really has a chance to excel or go flat right on their face,
Definitely.
like hard. So yeah, I'm interested in that.
I have all the faith in the world in Smith. It's the other two. I'd like to see both of them pop off, obviously, but obviously, just give me one. Give me two guys to be excited for on that offense.
Is Travis Fulgham like an NFL player because he came on the scene hot and really has just gone away? Alexa, play Offspring.
I think they're gonna waive him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And he's going to be part of the Colts playoff roster. That's just because they worked.
With Phillip Rivers being the quarterback?
It doesn't matter. Exactly. They're one of them. I think Fulgham and Wentz really made sense just because it gave him a threat outside of Ertz that he could trust. Because obviously JJ wasn't one of them, and neither was Rager. Anytime he looked their way, it just was not good. But anytime he was looking at Fulgham, all of a sudden it was like he was throwing to Randy Moss. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him not stick with this team for long, and then magically make his way to Indianapolis to be their 3 or 4, depending on injuries and whatnot.
Depth chart.
Yeah, Colts got 3 guys, all receiver, all coming back off of decent injuries at least. So if they all come back healthy, maybe it's not necessary. But I think it's something where I think that's just Fulgham's calling in life. Just be the guy who fits in with somebody and let that run his career. So I like Fulgham. I think he can be a good 4. I think he's short-handed, which I love. Reminds me of Avant back in the day, or basically what Greg Ward's been doing for the Eagles for the last couple of years. Just be that reliable guy over the middle. So, but Fulgham's got a little bit more downfield, which I love when you can get a guy who can stretch the field too.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, we're coming up onto it. So chat, if you got final thoughts, bring them in. I did see the Spider-Man. I got a final thought though, which was I was back at Citizens Bank Park for the first time recently.
Same.
And it was not for a Phillies game, thankfully.
Unfortunately, mine was for a Phillies game.
I got to enjoy myself and have a good time. I went for my first ever concert there, and I saw Dead and Company, and what a show. A weird show, because it was raining all night. So if you're familiar with the Dead or like even Fish, like jam bands, they play a set. No, generally no warm up. They play a first set, take a break, second set, take a short break, encore, and that's it. After I say that's it. They play like 2.5 hours of music, if not more. But the Dead, they didn't take a set break, and I gotta be honest, I was super into the way they speed ran it, and it was because it was pouring all night. So they were trying to beat the storm.
Mm.
But what's funny was the concert ended and then the rain stopped. So it just rained off. But good thing about seeing concert at Citizens Bank was I was behind home plate and I was very covered for most of the night. I got wet, but it wasn't until the wind was blowing out, so like towards center field, it started blowing in. Later in the show, and that's when we just kind of went up to the concourse area, and then just had more room to dance. But man, it was so damn nice to be at a live concert. The first time the crowd roared afterwards, I got hit with the emotions. Talking to a guy that worked for Live Nation for 4 years and enjoyed concerts enough to put up with a bunch of shitty ones, just to go see some good ones for free, or better yet, get paid. No, I saw them for free, because by the time, for what it cost me to get down to Camden, newsflash, Live Nation, they're scumbags and they don't pay their employees. So remember that when you're treating the usher poorly at a concert, that they're working for $1 billion company and probably making, even in today's standards, $10 an So yeah, be kind to your Live Nation workers. Or I hate the company as much as you do. That
Now,
being said, I do miss me a free concert.
yeah.
I do.
Have you been to a concert at the Link?
No.
Okay, don't.
No?
See, what I like about Citizens is you can get up, you can go